I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 99.1. This is our special .1 episode. It's our holiday gift guide episode. And we're going to highlight some things that you as comic fans, as comic readers, could get for those in your family and those friends that you have that may not be comic book readers. We know that the comic readership base is shrinking, unfortunately. So we need to do something to expand that readership base. And so many people are going to see movies like the Avengers and the X-Men movies or the Batman movies, and they're watching The Walking Dead in record numbers. But sadly, the source material is not attracting those people to the degree that they could. So we're hoping this year that when you're out shopping for friends and family, that you'll consider picking up some comic books and giving those to people who may not be reading comics right now. So our first recommendation is The Walking Dead. Walking Dead is the highest rated show on television in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic. And people love it. The Walking Dead has brought more people into our store and more people into comic book stores across the country than any other comic-related thing that I can think of, at least since we've been open. I've heard that the 1989 Batman movie did a whole lot for comic book stores, but The Walking Dead is just burning up the sales charts in comic book stores, in bookstores, and it could still get hotter because there are like millions and millions of people watching The Walking Dead on TV, and maybe less than 1 million that are reading the comics. Yeah. So for your Walking Dead friends that are Walking Dead fans, you've got a few options. You can get them the Volume 1 graphic novel, which collects the first 6 issues, I believe, of the series. You could get them, the Walking Dead Volume 1 hardcover, which is a larger format and fits nicely on a bookshelf, as does this one. But this contains the first 2 soft covers, so you get 2 of the soft covers, Volume 1 and 2, in the first volume of the hardcover. Or you can go crazy and get the Walking Dead Compendium Volume 1, which contains the first 8 soft covers. Now, the only downside to the compendium that I will warn you about is that it only comes out once every 4 years. So there are 2 compendia available right now versus 17 softcovers or 7?
There's currently 8.
8 hardcovers. But that's really just white noise. Basically, you have some options, you have lots of choices, and these are formats that your non-comic book reading friends and family will understand. It's not a traditional comic book, it's a collected edition. And it's Walking Dead. And I guarantee that if you give it to someone who likes the Walking Dead TV show, they will continue reading the comic. That is almost a tight a Ziploc seal guarantee on that. So there's that.
And it's not just appealing to Walking Dead fans. I mean, any zombie fan, horror genre fans, it's very well done as a book. It's not just a tie-in to something they already like on TV. It's a high-quality book that would appeal to a lot of people. I especially like the options with the different formats. The hardcovers make a great gift. They're nicer. They look kind of more high-end, more like a gift-giving thing. But I know, for example, my sister and her husband are huge zombie fans. They also have 3 small children. The hardcovers will not survive long in that house, so they're better off with something they can read, and maybe later when the kids are older, pick up a nicer keepsake edition. Next up, we've got Stieg Larsson's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is the tie-in based on the novelization coming out from Vertigo. Now, you may have seen this as the award-winning film from Sweden?
Sure.
Sweden, right? Or the more recent American version. But Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, hugely successful novel, won tons of awards, and now you can read it in a place that won't make your brain hurt.
A book with pictures.
The pictures.
Each novel in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy is being adapted as 2 individual graphic novels. So the first one just came out a few weeks ago. The second volume will be out in May, I believe. But it's perfect for people on your list that have read the novel, because seeing it with the pictures is different, and the artwork is outstanding. The artwork on this is by Leonardo Manco, and it's adapted by Denise Mina. But anybody that likes the movies, anybody that reads the novels and likes them, will enjoy this. Almost a guarantee again. Next up, we have this giant Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 Library Edition Volume 1. Now, those of you that don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a very successful television series on for 7 years, created by Joss Whedon, director of The Avengers. And Buffy was off the air for quite a while, and then Joss was lured to Dark Horse Comics to write the continuing saga of Buffy and the Scooby Gang. So this is the official season 8. It was 7 seasons on TV, and this is written by Joss Whedon, but also kind of overseen. He's kind of like the showrunner for the comic. He's executive producer. And we've got some big names involved with this. Brian K. Vaughan contributes to this, and some other people. I was expecting some. I know that there are other people that wrote this besides Brian K. Vaughan.
Well, this is just the first volume, so there are. There's only the first 2 trades in there, but an awesome format.
But the oversized format on this is what makes it a great gift item. It's got a nice little bookmark in here.
I mean, yeah, this is a normal-sized comic. This is how much bigger it is. With the cloth bookmark and the great shelf format, the art really pops off this expanded page layout. I actually owned all of Season 8 in softcover and have since decided that perhaps I should trade them in and get the hardcover, because it's just a great value for the money and an awesome shelf piece for any Buffy fan.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have something that's for everyone, and I mean everyone, the Adventure Time comic. Now, this comic is tied into the Adventure Time TV show on Cartoon Network, and the single issues just flew out of stores. They went through multiple printings of each of the early run. This is written by Ryan North, who internet fans will know from the Dinosaur Comics webcomic, which is also a pretty big sensation. And this is great. If you're not familiar with Adventure Time, it is an all-ages title aimed predominantly at kids, but it has a great appeal. It's kind of like, it's like playing pretend Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a 12-year-old imagining a fantasy adventure with swords and monsters and trolls, and it's very hip and referential, and it's just a lot of fun to sit down and watch. It's very aware of itself and kind of meta, and this will appeal to any kid in your life or anybody who you've seen swing a foam sword at someone. This is the gift to go with.
Staying in the world of kids and all ages, we've got Darth Vader and Son. This is a nice hardcover, and it's by Jeffrey Brown. It is just so much fun. It's basically exploring the relationship between Vader and Luke as if they were a traditional father and son, which they obviously are not. But in the back here, we've got Vader saying, "Luke, pick up your toys this instant. Luke, I am your father. Do you want a timeout?" So perfect for Star Wars fans, especially for fathers and sons who are enjoying Star Wars together. This is a no-brainer. It's a nice stocking stuffer, perfect for Christmas.
All right, next up we have Saga, Volume 1.
Surprise!
Yeah, nobody saw this coming. Saga is a great gift for everyone. Literally, if they're breathing, they would like Saga. But
if they're over 18.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do not give it to your 6-year-old nephew.
You could be the cool uncle who gets yelled at by his mom. The nephew's mom, not your mom. I mean, your mom might yell too. I don't know. She seems nice, though. But first volume of Saga, multiple printings on every issue that went out. But the real reason we're talking about this today, beyond the fact that it's super awesome, is that it has probably more appeal than any other book on our list here. This could appeal to people that are traditional sci-fi fantasy fans, your Lord of the Rings Hobbit people, because we've got fantasy races and magic. Yes, Hobbit people. Hobbits love to buy Saga. But it appeals, it has that kind of classic, epic, mythic tale, but it also appeals to a much quieter demographic. The real strength of the book, in my opinion, is the humanity. I want to say humanity, but none of them are human. But the real nature of the relationships, these interactions between this couple, it's really not about an intergalactic civil war. We always, and myself, I've done it too, describe it as a Romeo and Juliet analog, but it's not. The story doesn't start when they meet. The story starts when they have the baby. It's about trying to build a family and what that's about. It's crises and metaphor, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. So great for anyone that's just starting out a family. If they've recently had a child, I think they'll definitely identify with some of the characters. Great for people who like things that are shot and lasers, magic. It's got spaceship trees and problems with the in-laws, and just there's literally no one on my Christmas list that would not enjoy an issue of Saga. Spoiler alert if you happen to be on my Christmas list.
Staying in the world of awesome new stuff. No, we're going to awesome old stuff. You can hold that.
I will hold this.
Brian K. Vaughan is the writer of Saga, and for those of you that are reading it, you can see why this guy is just one of the top in the comics field. But one of his lesser-known projects is called Pride of Baghdad, and this was an original hardcover graphic novel released originally in this format, not as single comics. But this is an amazing book. I actually, for one reason or another, I did not read this when it came out, and I kind of hemmed and hawed, and I'm like, oh, talking animals, I don't really dig talking animal books. But it's about a zoo in Baghdad that is bombed, and suddenly the animals are free to roam about.
Which is the true part of the story.
Yeah,
that
it's actually
happened.
based on a true story without the talking animals. I'm sure they were talking to each other, but we probably didn't understand what they were saying. Unless you had the universal translator. But anyway, Pride of Baghdad is an emotion-filled journey for these animals, and you've got these relationships, amongst the different groups of lions that are there, and the different animals, and how the lions are always seen as the alpha dog of the zoo, but you have these subgroups underneath it, and they kind of are opposing them, but also we should follow them, and then it's just it's more complex and has more feeling than you could ever imagine. And the artwork is amazing by Nino Henrican. I don't know who you are,
but you do good work.
But your artwork is amazing. So basically, this is on the list of recommendations this year because a lot of you are reading Saga, and I don't think nearly any of you have read Pride of Baghdad, so you owe it to yourselves to check it out. But the other nice thing about this is that it's very accessible to a new reader or someone who isn't reading comics. So, and somebody that loves lions. If they like The Lion King, they will like Pride of Baghdad, although it is a little sadder. And a little more sad.
I was pretty sad at The Lion King.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Got emotional. No, I think original graphic novel was definitely the format to go with it. You talk about the artwork. There are a lot of splash pages and spreads that wouldn't have worked in a single comic. You would have wound up with some issues that were all one page, basically. And it's just great story. Great tale of freedom. And it's almost like Shawshank Redemption, about institutionalization and when you don't want to give up anymore. And it's just such a great book. I want to talk about Pride of Baghdad more.
I'm going to read it again. I'm going to put it on my
I'm going to read it right now.
Will you give me that?
Only if you're good. Next up, for the Batman fan on your list, apparently there was like a movie or something this summer with a guy with a deep voice and bats on. But if people like that, they may enjoy this, which is actually a good Batman product. We have Batman Earth 1. This is a graphic novel. It was, again, an original graphic novel published only in this format. This is the first time it's been out. It came out earlier this year. Written by Jeff Johns, who's sort of the DC wonderkin behind Green Lantern and the recent Justice League reboot. And art by Gary Frank, who's an industry veteran with a lot of years on his pencil. That did not come out the way I intended. He draws a lot, is what I meant. But Earth 1 is great for a lot of reasons, and the reason it's great for new people is because it's a new story. It's sort of an alternate reality retelling of the Batman origin, and things are different. There's definitely some significant changes in this, and it really is awesome. It appeals to new people because they don't have to have read 80 years of Batman continuity. You can just pick it up, you know who there's a guy in a cape, and even they will appreciate some of the subtle changes to the history, but real comic fans will too. And real comic fans is probably not the way to go. But Batman Earth 1 is a great pickup for the Batman fan in your life, or people who like Jeff Johns. People who like shotguns. Very big shotgun enthusiast book.
All right, let's move on to American Vampire, Volume 1, and I'm bringing this up. We're going from Batman to American Vampire because Scott Snyder is the current writer of Batman.
That is a red page.
And he is the writer of American Vampire. And this has been out for a little while. We've talked about the series many times. We've talked about just Scott Snyder in general and how great he is on Batman. Mm-hmm. But again, it's I'm bringing it up today because many of you are reading Batman, but not as many of you are reading American Vampire. So this is an opportunity, if you're enjoying Snyder's work on Batman, to check out his earliest comic work, one of his earliest comic works, American Vampire. And again, this is co-written by Stephen King.
Which is a huge advantage when you're talking about getting it for somebody who's not familiar with comics.
Yeah, and that's what actually sold this series when it first came out, because no one knew who Scott Snyder was when American Vampire came out initially. And it was sold on the name of Stephen King. So each issue is a two-part story. There's one set in the 1920s and one set in the late 1800s. And King writes the late 1800s stuff, and Snyder writes the 1920s material. But not only is it great for fans of Batman and Snyder's writing, But you can give this to your Twilight friends to cure them of their illness of sparkly vampires.
Yes, show them what real vampires are like.
Yes, what badass vampires are like. None of this shirtless, sparkly, bleh. Anyway,
But
American Vampire is it's consistently one of the best comics on the stands today. And the great thing about it is, again, it's in an attractive hardcover format, which makes a great gift. And it really is just amazing.
Yeah, and especially with the first half of it, the Stephen King half, I believe, or well, the one side of the story, one half of the story, the Stephen King part, is set in the Old West. So it's great for that guy at your family Christmas who always insists on watching AMC's Christmas with the Duke, that John Wayne fan that you're having a little trouble shopping for because you only need so many commemorative watches and coins. This is a great Western, and it'll definitely turn them on to some new stuff.
And finally, we will round out our gift guide this year with Fables Volume 1, the Deluxe Edition. You may have heard us say before that the television show Once Upon a Time is a ripoff of Fables.
Hey, it says Once Upon a Time right here.
Yeah. I have heard rumors that one of the networks, it may have even been ABC, was interested in making a Fables television show and then changed their mind, and suddenly we get Once Upon a Time, which is, again, very similar to the story in Fables. However, Fables is definitely an R-rated story, so cooler stuff happens than what's on ABC. Basically, you've got all of the Fable characters. You've got Snow White, the Big Bad Wolf, Cinderella, the Three Little Pigs. They all escape their realms, which are being overrun by an evil dictator, and they flee to our world, to our New York City, to a place called Fabletown that they create. And all of their mystic Fable characters put up this spell so that normal people like us can't see exactly what's going on, or they don't realize that they're living among them. And you've got the Big Bad Wolf, who's the local sheriff. Snow White is the assistant to the mayor. The mayor is Old King Cole, if I'm not mistaken. You've got Rose Red in there. You've got Jack Horner.
Well, Jack
of many things. Jack the Beanstalk, Jack Horner.
Jack the Giant Killer.
Jack the Giant Killer. And all of this series has been written by Bill Willingham, so he has complete creative control over this, and he has a definite vision of what's going on with the book. So I guess the point of this is, if you know an adult that enjoys the TV show Once Upon a Time, you should really get them Fables and thrust it into their open arms and say, read this, you will like it.
Yes. And it's one of the best regarded comics on the stands. It's won 12 Eisner Awards. That's like the Oscars. Nobody's won 12 Oscars except that guy with the music. What's
12
his name?
Eisners?
Eisners? No. Hugely successful book, and I really feel like that one of its strengths is the nature of the stories. I mean, yes, it has the Big Bad Wolf in it, but what you really mean is it has the Big Bad Wolf as like a noir detective in the streets of New York solving a crime, and it's so...
But we should say he's in human form.
Yeah, he's anthropomorphic.
He still is able to wolf out. And
see, we're making it sound lame and crazy, but it's not.
I just didn't want them thinking there was a wolf walking around with a badge and a gun, in New York City.
I'd read that book too, by the way. But then the second half of this is the second trade, which is almost completely shifts gears to a very cool... actually, the story's called Animal Farm because it's kind of a revolution. Rose Red becomes kind of a Che Guevara type character and unites the animal talking fables that can't pass for human against the others, and it's just very, very cool. It's amazingly well written. It's truly a great argument for comics as art, not just as an entertainment art form.
And it is available in two different formats, the deluxe hardcover edition, which would make a great gift, but we also have the traditional softcover, similar to this type of thing, which would also make a great gift. So either way. So we hope that our recommendations resonate with you. We hope that you find someone on your Christmas shopping list to give one of these great items to, or just go out and buy some comics for them that you think they would like, because comics do make great gifts, not just for comic book fans, but even more so for non-comic book fans, because most comic book fans buy everything they want anyway, so it's really tough to shop for people like us. So if you have other suggestions, please post them in the comments below. And barring any earth-shattering acts of God, we will be back next time with our momentous episode 100, where we answer your questions. Have a happy holiday. We'll see you before then, but have a happy holiday.
And a happy Wookiee Life Day.